It's our first episode. It's our first episode of Happy AF. Oh my gosh. Welcome, Mindset Warriors. Welcome to Happy AF with Sam Bowker. This is me. And yeah, I'm here for you. So this is our very first episode. So guaranteed, I'm going to, fuck things up a little bit. And you guys are all going to be okay with that because you know me, right? And if you've expected perfection instead of progress, well, let's face it, you would not be a mindset warrior, you would not be here, and you wouldn't be hanging out with me. So I just want to really welcome every single one of you who is showing up here live with me today. And I just want you to know that throughout today's episode, it is really just my intention to share with you why it is that I'm even doing this. Why did I decide to create a show called Happy AF? You can fill in the AF, but for me, Happy AF is about being as happy as fuck as we possibly can. And yes, I swear, but if you don't cope with that, then once again, this is probably not the group for you, because the one thing I learned a long time ago, people, is I cannot be somebody else. And I've always been a swearer, and for a long time I tried to curb it. I tried to play the game, and I tried to fit into this little box. And the reality is I was miserable, I was inauthentic, and I was not myself, and I sure as shit was not happy AF. So I made a decision to just be myself, and like you, like me, love me, hate me, whatever it is, that's okay, because I'm here for you, okay? I'm showing up today with one intention, and my only intention today is that if I can help just one of you, just one person, get a little happier than they were before I started the show today, then this has been a massive success for me, okay? Like in my lifetime, I have big lofty goals, which I will share with you, and they've come from many different places, but really my intention with this particular show is just about getting out there and providing a free service to you guys that you can share with your loved ones. I know that they cannot see it unless they are in this group, and you cannot share it from this group. That's a Facebook thing. If I could make this thing unprivate, I would, but the reality is this will be shown in other areas. This is our first episode. You guys are like in the VIP Cool Kids Club, right? This is kind of like, if you think of it like a red carpet preview situation, okay? You are getting to be the first ones to see this event, which means you're gonna get to see all the bloopers, all the fuck ups, everything I do right, everything I do wrong, but let's face it, there is no right or wrong, everything just is. And I promise that I will progress every week when I show up. I may never be super duper organized, and I may never ever ever have a script, because that's just not how I roll. I kind of roll with, I speak with what is in my heart at the time and what I'm called to say, and sometimes I have a plan, and the minute I sit here in front of the camera, I completely throw the plan away. But the reality is you will get me, you will get real and raw me, and I promise every comment, everything that you jump in there and speak about, I will get back to you guys. Maybe not today, but I promise you, I will get back to you. So please, if you're here, jump in and say hi, okay? Because when you're sitting here talking to a camera, right, I have deliberately, well, now I'm about to tell a lie, no. I was going to wear my glasses today, and then with all the lighting, I found that the reflections were so bad, and the eyes are the window to the soul. So I let go of the fact that I actually now cannot see a great deal, and I decided to tell myself the good story about that was that I couldn't get nervous about whether there was one person watching or nobody watching, or whether I was just talking to a camera, because that would be making it about me and not about you, which is what this is about. So I can't see how many of you are there, but that does not mean I don't feel your energy and your presence, and it doesn't mean that I don't want you to like and comment and say what you want to say and ask questions, okay? So, all right, without further ado, why have I started this show? What is the intention of having a show called Happy AF? And in fact, what exactly does that even mean? Well, I've kind of worked something out, guys, okay? There's been a lot of people that I really respect, that there's an argument around the word happiness, and there seems to be this concept that, happiness shouldn't be a goal, and we should be seeking joy and peace and contentment. And look, that's all really fine and well, but it does not change the fact that of the thousands of clients that I have worked with over the last 20 years, I'll tell you the number one response I get when I ask them what they want. And they may come to me with problems with smoking or food or alcohol or anxiety or depression or some phobia, or it doesn't matter. They could come to me with anything. The number one response that I get when I ask, what do you want? They all say, I want to be happy. And when I then say, what is it going to take for you to be happy? The standard response is, I don't know. And I kind of, when I first started doing this, I realized I was kind of sitting back and going, what is this? Like, what is this elusive happy, right? Because the funny thing is that when you're not happy, you know all the things that you think would make you happy, right? And one of the most common responses is, I'll be happy when, right? And anything you put after when is external from you, usually, right? I shouldn't say anything. I shouldn't always say always, because there is not an always, right? But it's usually something like, I'll be happy when I have a child, when I get the job, when I buy the house, when I get the boyfriend, when I lose 10 kilos, when I eat healthy all the time, when I have better friendships, blah, blah, blah. You fill in the blank. So I want to ask a question, if you yourself know that you have said things like, I'll be happy when, what is the blank? If you're brave enough to write it in the comment section, I guarantee you, whatever it is you're experiencing, you're not alone, okay? And so one of the things that I've become incredibly good at picking over the years is patterns. People's patterns of behavior, and the way that they are doing and thinking determines how they are feeling. So if they believe that they will be happy when they have a child, when they have a relationship, then I promise you they will never feel happy until they have that. But here's the kicker. They'll get that thing, whatever it is, and they still won't be happy. So that's kind of fucked, yeah? Like, if your whole entire goal is to search for something outside of you, and then you get there, and then you still don't actually experience it, what is the point, right? And that's why we have such, I believe, okay, and you're going to hear me talk a lot about beliefs, and you're going to also hear me reference beliefs being stories. I'll talk more about that after, okay? But the reality is, my belief about why so many people are unhappy is because they've been sold a lie, right? They've been sold a lie from such a young age, and not intentionally. Parents don't go out of their way to wake up every single day with the mindset of, today I'm going to fuck my kid up as much as I possibly can. Well, I don't know. Maybe there is some narcissistic, crazy, psychopathic, sociopathic people out there that think like that. But I've got to say, the average parent, being a parent, I wake up and every single day, my goal is to be the best mum I can be, to do the very best that I can by my daughter, to give her the resources and give her everything that she needs to have a great life. And I really believe most parents feel the same. Do I get it right? Sometimes. Do I stuff up? Yes, an awful lot. This morning was a perfect example of me and my non-perfect parenting moment, right? Because I allowed something external from me to impact me. The reason this is so important for you guys to understand is that happiness is not about something that you get. It's not a destination. It is something that you create within. And honestly, I really believe that to understand how to do happy, right? It's a verb, it's a doing. There is plenty of things that you can do to do happy, and it is a learned skill. Right, I believe like a child is born and they just like, they're just happy. They don't, as long as you feed them and you cuddle them and you feed them and cuddle them and let them sleep, they kind of do happy all by themselves. It's only as they get a bit older that they start putting, frames and references on what it is that makes them happy. But to give you, I guess, an understanding as to why I think I get this so well, I have to take you back a little bit, okay? And some of you that have been around me for a while might already know a bit of my story, and those of you that are new to me might not have heard any of this, okay? But to understand what happy is, first we have to go to what is unhappy, right? And I know every single person here on the planet at some point is going to experience unhappy. And it doesn't matter where you come from, what your past has been like, what has happened to you, everyone will have experienced unhappy at some point, okay? And so for me, I've had many different turning points. Like, I've had a great life. I've had great parents. I've got a brother. I've got a sister. I've got a beautiful daughter. You know, I've got a great business. I've got great friendships. I've got a really good life. I'm very grateful. I've got my health. I'm very grateful. But it wasn't always like that, okay? And what I do know for certain is that I used to be chasing happy like it was a destination. And that's why I now know, a dead set know, that my mission on this planet is to actually help. I put a number on it because I believe in measuring things, okay? So my goal is to help 1 billion people tap into their inner fabulosity that is already there, their God-given talents that they already have. And I want to teach people how to tap into those and then go out and use those talents to be a shining light on humanity and teach others to do the same. Now, that might sound like a pretty lofty goal, or it might sound a bit esoteric. I know when I told my daughter in typical 10-year-old girl fashion said, "Oh, Mum, that's so cringy." And that's cool. For her, that sounds pretty cringy. I get it. And truthfully, for me, even speaking it out loud today, it sounds even a bit cringy to me. But I know with all certainty that that is actually my purpose, right? And that makes me happy. So knowing your purpose definitely gives you a guidepost to getting happy AF. And it allows all the speed bumps along the way to just be that. They are speed bumps, right? Some people get in the car in the morning and the traffic is bad and they lose their shit. And they drive like crazy people and they beep on their horns and they don't let anybody in, and they get to work, and when someone says to them, "How you going?" they go, "Oh my God, I'm so stressed and it was so bad," and rah, 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 and then they'll share that rah with everybody. Other people will get in the car and people will cut them off and they'll think to themselves, "Gee, that person must be in a rush. I hope everything's okay with their family. Here you go, I'll let you in." I was driving yesterday and I had someone in the car with me, and I was driving into Terrigal, my local little area, to go to dinner with a friend, and there was clearly someone trying to reverse park in the left-hand lane. And I stopped because it had stopped all the traffic. I stopped and let all these people through. And this guy just looked at me and he goes, "God, that wouldn't happen in Sydney," right? And to me, it was like, it was a no-brainer, right? This poor person, probably I would say older, because you could see how panicked this person was. You know what it's like when you're in the traffic and all of a sudden you want to reverse park somewhere and now you're causing a traffic jam, and then someone dares put their horn on you. You're already anxious as fuck, and now somebody's like freaking out at you, right? That's someone who's definitely not living with the motto of happy AF, right? And so I guess I want to go back a little bit just so that I can share with you that I really did not used to know how to do this. I used to be so impacted by external everything, right? I was the biggest victim. Every excuse under the sun for not being happy. "Oh, I'm not happy because this happened today. Oh, because this person did this. Oh, that happened. I'm not happy because I didn't hit this target that I set for myself." And it was all external because I validated my happiness and my success based on other people's opinions and based on external measurement tools. And I'm telling you, if that is how you measure your happiness, you're up for a tough ride, okay? And I can promise you with dead set certainty, you'll never achieve it, because you will be doing comparison, you'll be comparing yourself, and there's always going to be somebody better at something than you, right? And this industry I work in is a perfect example, right? Every course I've ever done with a coach, the first thing they say is, "Go out and check out who your competitors are." Honestly, it's the worst fucking advice to give somebody like me, because I think, right? All right, remember, this is my show, my opinions. If you don't like it, that's okay. But here's the thing. When you go and do that, the first thing that most people do is we go and look at all the other people in the industry that are doing what we're doing, and we go, "Oh, well, they're already doing that thing, and that person's doing that thing," and then you start going into your head and you start being really critical, and you think to yourself, "Oh my God, well, what have I really got to offer? And do I have anything that's really that unique or that special?" Now listen, if this is like a really unusual story for you, then I don't know, you've been living under a rock, but I know for me, comparison has been the killer. You know, I know that this work that I get to do now, right? I just turned 47 the other day. I know, I look pretty fabulous still, but right, I just turned 47. And when I was 23 years old, I went and saw Tony Robbins. Now, some of you might know who he is. You will either love him, or you will think he's a complete lunatic, or you'll have no idea who he is. And it doesn't matter where you are within this category. Chances are in this group you've probably at least heard of him, okay? And chances are, even if you think he's a happy clapper, you might have maybe gathered some useful tools or tricks from this guy, okay? But I, at 23 years old, was a drug addict, right? And I was on my second bout of addiction at that particular point in time. And I'd come back from Canada, where I'd been having a great old time snowboarding and partying and taking lots of drugs, but I was pretty broken by the time I got home. And my dad and mum bought me a ticket to go and see Tony Robbins. And there is no doubt in my life, there is no doubt that at that moment in time, that 4-day workshop, Unleash the Power Within, saved my life. Like, there is just not a doubt in my mind. I was on a trajectory at that point where I had no idea how to do happy. If I wasn't snowboarding or snorting lines of cocaine, I was miserable, right? Or getting other people telling me how great I was. Like, I was working as a shooter girl in a nightclub, getting people drunk, doing lines of coke, snowboarding every day, okay? And I was 23 years old. Now, like, that might sound fun if you're young and you're thinking, oh my God, but like, you don't do that shit when you're happy, okay? You just don't. And at that point, I had been doing those types of patterns for so long that I really only knew how to do happy by getting high or snowboarding down a hill. And that's really great, right? Snowboarding down the hill thing, I still have a mad passion for that. And that's all good. But the other thing's not really helpful. Yeah. The reason I'm telling you this story though, okay, is that at 23 years old, this guy changed my life. Okay. And I'd been living in Canada, and over there back, you know, in, oh God, what was that, the 90s, I was like, he was everywhere on infomercials. Like, they were huge. We didn't have the internet like we've got now, but Tony Robbins was everywhere. And if you're a drug addict, I guarantee you are awake at 2 and 3 and 4 in the morning. And Tony Robbins was on a cycle every hour. Tony Robbins, Tony Robbins. Come to UPW, come to UPW, come to UPW. I'm a hypnotherapist now, so I understand, you know, getting this message again and again and again, subliminally. And then my dad rings me and says, well, we'll either help you pay for your health insurance, which at the time I needed because I was not in a good place in Canada, or come home and we'll buy you a ticket to Tony Robbins. And at the time I didn't know, but a friend, a very dear friend of mine, and this is not the first time this has happened for me, but a very dear friend of mine rang my parents and said she needs to come home. She's not in a good way. But my parents, knowing that if I knew that they knew that, I wouldn't come. So they never told me that, and I didn't find that out until years later. And I came back and I did this Tony Robbins. And after doing this, I was like, that's it. I want to be like Tony Robbins. I'm going to go and I'm going to help people become happy, and I'm going to teach them all these resources, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm like, that is my purpose. That's what I'm on this planet for. And I, for the first time in my life, honestly felt really clear in my mind about this is my purpose. My purpose is to go out there and love and lead and inspire and speak. And I was so vibed for about 2 weeks. And then I left that environment, and here's what happened. I went out into the real world where I wasn't in my protective little hub, and here's what happened. Everybody started going, oh, Tony Robbins, he's that happy clapper dude. He's that guy that jumps around and makes lots of noise. Oh, isn't that a cult? Oh, Tony Robbins. Oh. And because I didn't have enough confidence in myself, and I was already pretty fragile, that 4 days was really great. But the reality is it wasn't enough. It was enough to break a pattern, and it got me off drugs in that moment, but it wasn't sustainable and it wasn't long lasting. But it did show me something, okay? And this is why I know this is a long-winded way of me going back around to comparison. But here's the funny thing. That was when I was 23 years old. I knew then that the work I'm now doing is what I was put on this planet to do. And it took me another, I don't know, 10 or 15 years before I even came back down this path again. And it took me going to another coach and experiencing it again. And then realizing that actually, like Tony Robbins has been doing this kind of work for over 45 years. And he didn't invent this stuff, right? If you ask him, he will tell you one of his biggest teachers was Jim Rohn and Zig Ziglar. And then he'll go back even further and he'll talk about like various other mentors. But the thing is that I somehow created my own story, belief, back then, that if I didn't have anything original and if it wasn't my idea, I couldn't go and do it, okay? And so today I just want to share this with you. Don't let an external, like an outside force, don't let something outside of you be the determinant of your happiness. Because if you do that, you're never going to be happy, okay? And whether you want to use the word happy or joy, it really doesn't matter. But what I know for certain is that you are responsible for it. And I don't care what has happened to you yesterday, last week, last month, last year, right? I'm not saying that my heart doesn't bleed every horrible story that I hear from a client or a friend. And I'm not saying I haven't had my own share of really rough rides. But I do know this. You decide the meaning that you are going to assign to those things. You know, I know people that have been gang raped that make a story up about it, that it only happened because they were disgusting and horrible and deserving of being abused like that because they're shit people. And other people have created stories that, for instance, it happened so that they could then go on and be a shining light and help others deal with that type of tragedy. There's people who have watched their own child be murdered in front of them by their ex-husband, who's a crazy fuck, and who've then gone on to become Australian of the Year and do more for domestic violence than probably anyone on the planet. So don't let your stories determine how you feel, okay? Make a decision. This is what this show is going to be about. It's going to be about teaching you that being happy is a choice, right? And so when my 10-year-old says to me, I can't choose to be happy, yeah, you can. You can choose to be happy about this situation, or you can choose to be sad. It takes as much effort either way. Now, I'm not saying things don't come naturally. When something tragic happens, I'm not saying jump up and go, woohoo, this is a great experience. But I'm telling you that you can change your state. And that was the number one thing that I learned back when I was 23 years old. Changing your state changes how you feel. And if you change how you feel, then you change how you see the world. And you start seeing the gifts. Okay? So, I'm going to make sure that I keep these shows to 30 minutes. This is my goal. Okay? And so today really was about giving you a bit of an understanding. We've got a few minutes, and I'm going to give you one thing you can do today that could raise your happiness. Okay? If you decided to do it. Before I jumped in here today, okay, I was out in my back room and I put on some music and I was jumping around like a crazy person. Now, there's a couple of reasons why I was doing that. Your physiology, okay, and how you hold your body has a huge impact on how you feel, right? I could ask 1,000 people, what does a depressed person look like? And I guarantee you, every single person will show me with their body what depression looks like. So if everybody knows what depression looks like, right? Head down, shoulders slumped, you know, your eyes probably looking to the ground. If everybody knows what that looks like, right? And that's just in their body. And then if I was to say, what does a depressed person think? I guarantee you I could ask 1,000 people, even if they've never done depression, and they'll have some answers. Oh, I'm never going to be happy. Everybody hates me. The world is a shit place. Everything is bad in the world, blah, 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 blah. They're certainly not thinking anything positive, right? But if I was to turn around and say, what does a happy person do? How does a happy person look? Everyone's going to say to me, well, their head will be up, shoulders will be back, right? So your physiology, how you hold your body, is so responsible for how you internally feel, okay? Yes, there is the stories that you are telling yourself, and there is the tone of voice. These things all play a role. But if you want something, like the quickest, easiest thing that you can do to change your state in a heartbeat, especially if you want to do happy, right, is to find some music that makes your heart feel, right? Find some music that just makes you feel good, and then jump around like a crazy person. Like dance like no one is watching, right? No one will be watching. Just doing that. And I've done this with like thousands of clients, okay, that are doing like serious depression. You cannot feel depressed and jump around and listen to really great music and be like, woo, 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 woo. You cannot do that and feel depressed at the same time, because your body, right, in that moment is telling your brain, shit, something must be going on, right? Like something's happening. You can't do depression when you are moving your body like a crazy person. Now, all right, one could argue that, you know, you could be running away from something that's scaring the shit out of you. So I'm suggesting, you know, that you pick your movements. But guys, if you chuck a song on and you move your body and you dance around, I'm telling you now, no matter what is going on, you will be able to shift your state. So I've got a challenge for you all just this week, right? I want you to go away and I want you to find a time and I want you to measure how you're feeling on a scale of 1 to 10, okay? I want you to think to yourself, all right, right now on my happiness scale, I feel like I'm 4 out of 10, right? Or I feel like I'm a 6 out of 10. And it doesn't matter why, that's irrelevant. And then I want you to go and pick a couple of songs, okay? And one of the funny things I've noticed about depressed people is if I ask them what are the songs they listen to, and then they tell me the playlist and we start listening, they are all sad songs. You can't help yourself. It's like when you have a breakup, you go and put every sad song you can possibly find on and you listen to it, and then you cry and you feel shit, and like that's what we do. Go and find a couple of songs, okay? And I'm going to put a few of my favorites. I'm going to chuck a few suggestions in here. If you can't think of one, because sometimes when you're not feeling good, it's hard to come up with something. I'm sure that's nobody in this group here, because you guys are mindset warriors. However, I'm going to chuck a few songs in here to give you some suggestions. And guys, if you've got a song that you really love that makes you just fill up, share it. Like sharing is caring. Show us what your happy song is. And then I challenge you, scale yourself. Go, all right, right now I feel like a 4. And then just spend 5 minutes jumping around and dancing to some music and thinking about what you are grateful for. 1 million people didn't wake up this morning. Over 1 million people didn't wake up this morning. If you're listening to this, you're one of the people who did, okay? Even if that is the only thing you can celebrate that. Okay, and no matter how bad shit gets, I promise you, there is always at least one thing you can be grateful for. And if all that is that you woke up, there is someone out there that you matter to if right now you feel like you don't matter to yourself. So my mission with this show is to be here every week for you and to give you some tips and resources to show you how to do happy and to also teach you how to ride the wave. Because if you could have seen me this morning, right, I'm telling you, for me, everything just didn't go the way I wanted it to go this morning. You know, I was running late. We couldn't find something. My daughter spilled food all over herself. I couldn't set my setup the way I wanted to. The lighting didn't seem to work. We moved this 20 times, and I guarantee I'm going to watch it back and I'm going to critique the shit out of it. But you know what? It's all about progress, not perfection. And that's another quick tip. Yeah? You want to be happy AF? Let go of perfection, my friends, because perfection is the birthplace of anxiety. And I promise you, if you're aiming for perfection, you're fucked. Yeah, it does not happen. It's like a holiday destination. You get to visit there every so often, but you don't get to live there. So it can't be the goal, you know. And back in the day, I used to wear that as a badge of honor. I'm such a perfectionist, I would say. And I honestly thought it was the coolest thing ever. I thought it actually meant that, you know, I was really clever and intense and important and valuable. No, it just meant I took fuck all chances on things. I didn't try, because if I wasn't 100% certain that I was going to get it right, I wouldn't even do it. And that's why it took me over 23 years to start doing the work that I could have been doing 23 years ago. Now, look, there's no point in having regrets, people, because reality is, I truly believe a regret is just something that, a mistake you made that you didn't learn from. And I have definitely learned from every single mistake I've made, and I have made a shit ton. So I really would encourage you to just accept that happiness is something that we do. Okay? It's not something that we get. It's something that we do. And a simple thing you can do is move your body. So before I jumped on, I chucked a few songs on, I bounced around, I sat there and I kind of laughed at myself because I knew I was getting in here, I knew I was going to jump on, not be able to see you, I knew I was going to feel a bit anxious and a bit worried, but I also knew that whatever needed to come out and through me today was going to be the message for someone out there. So I don't know who needed to hear what I've just said today, but I hope you hear, whether you're live or whether you're watching this on replay. If you have any questions, please make sure you either type them in the comment section, DM me if you don't want to share it with everyone else. Just know that it really is my mission here to help you understand that happiness is an inside job. I can teach you how to do it. It comes from so many different avenues and so many different places, and there's lots of different resources that I'm going to be giving you in the coming weeks. I'm brand new at this, okay? I'm learning as I go, and I am working with the mindset of progress, not perfection, okay? So my goal is to have this on Spotify and all these different places. My goal is to create PDFs so that you guys can download things. In fact, I think we've already got some things coming up for you, but I want to keep you tuned in. There's going to be some exciting things coming up in the coming weeks. So I'm pretty sure I've just gone over time. I still can't actually see what I'm doing. I had all these notes, but clearly I wasn't meant to actually look at them because, as I mentioned, I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see anything. So I hope I look all right, and I hope I've actually been looking at you, and I hope you got something out of this morning. And please go ahead and share with your friends. You know, if you think that they could do with a little happy, if you've got a friend who's struggling with anxiety or depression or addiction, get them to join this group because it's all free and they can sit here and they can passively consume stuff. And I promise you, every week I will be giving you some tips on how to get yourself out of wherever it is you are now, if that is not happy AF, and move you in the direction of that. So this has been the first episode. Okay, I can take a big deep breath now. Thank you for joining me. My name is Sam Bowker. I am your host here at HappyAF. We are sponsored by HappyAF headquarters. I love you guys. I hope you have the most magical day. Make it count. You will never ever get this day back again. And make sure you share with me. What did you get from this? What did you learn? And what do you want to know more about? Hope you have a beautiful day. I love you guys. Mwah.